Yes crew, what is going on? My name's Liam Cox from Tech House Market, and today I'm going to show you how to create tech house edits of your favourite tracks, including the process of finding the acapella, putting it in time and all of that good stuff. Start by saying how important it is to get an idea of an edit that you want to get in the first place. So like if you're listening to a song, maybe something that's a bit older or something that you've heard on the radio and you think you can do something with that, then it's better to approach an edit that way rather than just thinking, oh yeah, what's trendy right now, what do I think will work, because some of the best edits have come from songs that people don't even know. So it's super important to have an idea in your head in the first place rather than just following some trends. So basically once you have an idea, we have to go about finding the acapella or using different pieces of software or plugins that allow you to sort of separate your acapella from your instrumental. So just for this demonstration today, I'm going to use an acapella from a track called Work, which I believe came out in 1999 or 2000, and it's been sampled a few times. So if we just listen. What you waiting for? I'm sure you've all heard of that sample before. So basically the best way to sort of get samples, the first thing you can do is just go to YouTube, type in the name of your song, and if it's a fairly popular song, then sometimes they'll have the full acapella on there and you can download it. If not, you'll have to grab the full song, and there's a few tools that you can use, but recently some AI stuff has sort of taken over that space and you can do all of this online. There's a really good website called lal.ai, and this separates your vocal and your instrumental in your song using AI, and I believe you get it for free up to a certain amount of time, but it's super good for something like this. So yeah, if you can't get the acapella on YouTube, then this is always a very good option. So once you've got your idea and now you've got your acapella, we can drag it into whatever DAW you're using. In this case I'm on Logic, and what we need to do now is drag it into a blank project and we can find out the BPM of the actual original acapella that we dragged in. So in this case I've just done a quick bit of research and found out that it's at 128, but there's a few ways you can do it. You can put on a click on your DAW that plays every beat, and whatever BPM it is you can change it and sort of work it out for yourself, but it is much easier to sort of find out the BPM of the original acapella, then drag it into your DAW. And then what we're going to do now, so this is 128 BPM, and what we're going to do is change it to whatever BPM we want our edit to be. So 128 is quite a good tempo for the tech house, but just for this example I'm going to show you how we would sort of change it. So in Logic, if we open up flex timing and then choose the polyphonic option, this basically will analyze whole acapella, and it's important to set the BPM in our project to whatever the BPM of the acapella is before we turn on flex timing. So now that we basically have flex timing on, we can increase the BPM of our project to whatever we want our edit to be, and because we have flex timing on, the acapella will follow that BPM. So just for an example, we'll go up to 132. Now our acapella will be at 132 BPM. What you waiting for? Put your back in it! So now that we have our acapella at our desired BPM for our edit, the cleanest way to sort of do this would be to bounce this out at 132 as a WAV, and then open up a brand new project at 132 and then drag in your acapella that we've just bounced. And now this is in time at 132, and you don't have to mess about with any of the timings etc. in this project because everything is at 132 in this acapella. And I see quite a lot of producers dragging an acapella for an edit that they're working on at a completely different BPM, and then they're trying to like stretch individual parts of like an acapella, and it will just take forever to get in time. Whereas this way, now that you've got the whole acapella at 132, you can chop up anything you like, place it in the position that you want it in, and it will automatically be in time. So that's super useful. And then so now we've got our acapella in time in a new project, the next thing to do is sort of work out the key of the acapella. So there is a few ways that we can do this. Again, we can look it up online. What is the original key of my acapella? There's some good websites such as TuneBat etc. that will tell you that. If not, we can sort of work it out ourselves. So we can get up a one-shot sound and we can play some notes and see what sounds in key. But the easiest option would obviously be to just check out what the original key was, and then we can work from there. And then to sort of make our edit different, or if we were going for a sort of a different vibe, we can either pitch this up or down to suit the vibe of the edit that we're going for.
Walk it hard and long.
So from doing a bit of research, I know that this original acapella is in G. So if I go and bring it down 2 semitones, it'll now be in F. And it's all about sort of adjusting the acapella to what sort of vibe you want your edit to be. In this case, if I want something to be a bit more gritty, a bit more underground, then we'll come down 2 semitones to make it different. And yeah, the final part before we actually start adding some elements in is to sort of decide what parts of the actual acapella did you want to use. Is there a certain hook that you like? Is there some bits you want to delete? Did you want to have the vocal on the drop or in the build up or both? So before you start chucking stuff in, it's always good to get an idea of where you want certain elements of your acapella or what parts of your acapella that you actually want to use, and then get rid of the rest. This makes it much cleaner to sort of work on and basically improves your workflow, as you haven't got a load of stuff around that you don't want to use. So now I've chosen a few bits of the acapella that I want to use for the edit, and I've just chopped them out of the full vocal and arranged them in a way that I wanted to, and also that would work for the build up and the drop. So for the build up, I've got this sort of main hook bit that a lot of people know.
What you waiting for? Put your back in it.
And then because in the drop there's a few more things that's going to be going on that I've added, like the synth and the bass and stuff, I've gone for this repetitive acapella.
Go down, go down, go down, come up.
Then I can have like some other stuff sort of working around it. So I've basically gone and created a sort of edit around these 2 bits of vocal, and I'm just going to show you guys my thought process and how I did that. And all of these sounds that I've used, by the way, are part of the new Tech House Market minimal pack, which I highly recommend you guys check out, because like it's got everything in there that you need to basically create a track from scratch in sort of the Tech House minimal space. So yeah, definitely go check that out. But if we start with the kick, so all I did was solo the vocal and basically had a look through the pack and sort of chose a kick that I think suited well with the sort of direction that I wanted to go in with the edit, and that also worked with the acapella that we've got. So I literally just dragged this straight in.
Go down, go down, go down, come up.
So quite a heavy kick, but it'll carry the track along nicely. And the great thing about using these sounds from the Tech House Market packs is basically they've been processed to like a really high level, so you can literally just drag them straight into your project and you don't need to do much processing at all, and they'll stand up to some of your favourite tracks. And you can do a bit of EQing for personal taste depending on what you sort of vibe you're going after, but if you pick the right sound in the first place, then you can literally just drag them straight in, do a bit of leveling, and then you're good to go. So from now on I've just made groove that I think works well with the bit of acapella that we're using on the drop. So if we go straight into this open hat,
Go down, go down, go down.
again it's just nice and chunky, just literally dragged it in, and it works well with both the kick and the acapella. And on top of that I've added a bit of a shaker to sort of give it a bit more groove. And again, these samples are really good because this particular sample is already panning left to right, so it's already got a bit of movement. Then I've added a clap. Nice solid chunky clap. And the way I sort of like to select my claps is I like to play it with the kick, because the kick and the clap relationship is super important, because if it's not sounding right then it won't work with the rest of your track, and there will always be something that sounds a bit off about it. And a lot of the time is your kick is not working with your clap. So I like to sort of solo the kick and the clap along with the acapella and just see how it sounds. And that clap is like the perfect sound choice. It doesn't sound out of place and it works super well with the hats and everything else. So now that we've got that in, I've just added again another top loop. Just removed some of the low end because we don't need it. Super solid drums. And then I've added a glitchy groove loop to just add a bit more variation. And this one's a lot more lower in the mix, just sort of in the background. You won't hear it in the forefront, but it will add a lot of variation and interest to the groove. So now if we just listen to all of the drums that we've added with the acapella. Sounding super solid. So now we go on to the bass line. I've got a loop here that I've chopped up, and because we've pitched down our acapella by 2 semitones, we know we're in F. So all I've done to the bass, because this was in F sharp, I've literally just took it down a semitone, so now that we're in F, and just added a kick start to sort of duck it from the kick. And if we play this with the kick, And because our vocals are not very melodic in this drop, or they haven't got many notes going on, this bass, which is like 1 or 2 notes and repetitive, would work better with this rather than a sort of more melodic bass that goes up and down a lot, because it will destroy the groove. So if we listen to now the bass with everything else with the vocal. You can hear that repetitive bass with the vocal hook that's in the same note works super well. So now if we get into the synth hook that I've added, basically what I did here was went to the synth one-shot section and just found a synth that I think works really well with this sort of vibe that we're going after. And once I found the one-shot, all I did was drag it straight into Logic's sampler. And because this is in F sharp, I've set the root key in the sampler to F sharp, and then that means whatever I play on the keyboard will be correct because I've mapped it with the root key in the sampler. So I've played in a nice melody in F that I think works well with what we've currently got. So if we take a listen. So a super nice sort of gritty sound that works well with this sort of vibe. And I wanted to create something that was simple in terms of the note melody, because it sort of follows the bass with that sort of driving one note, and as well as the acapella. So it's also super important to play in your melodies with everything else playing, because that way you know if it works with what you've got, rather than just have your synth soloed and sort of play it in that way, because you can come across a lot of issues in terms of like clashing with the vocal and it just not working in general. So if we now take a listen to the synth with everything else. So yeah, as you can see, it works really well with all of our elements, nothing sort of clashing. So yeah, that's everything that I've got for the drop. We can obviously expand this and variate what we've got over the range of the whole track. So if we just take a quick look at the build up, all I've done here is added this vocal from the acapella.
What you waiting for?
And then added in some of our drums without the kick, and adding in a sort of texture loop as well. All this does is give it a nice bed to sit on and sort of glues everything else together. And then to finish it off, I've got some effects. So I've got a riser, then a snare roll, and then before the drop, a nice reversed impact, and then just some white noise on the drop. I've also added in the synth to the build up, and I've also got some basic sort of volume automation on this to bring it in nicely, and just some reverb automation towards the end of the drop. So if we take a listen to the full thing. Yeah, sounding super sick. Obviously we can arrange this track fully, so we can reuse some of the vocals, change the arrangement, add some more effects, etc. But this is a super cool start to get an idea of how to create an edit, how to choose an acapella, put it in key, put it in time, choose what parts you want to use, where to sort of arrange them, and then basically how to choose your elements, like building your drums, adding in a bass, etc. and a synth groove. If you guys found this video useful, leave a like on the video, comment below what sort of videos you want to see next time, subscribe to Tech House Market, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace. Hands in the air.